I just wanted to tell a story on how I got played around when I was starting out as an actor. It's pretty ridiculous what they actually ended up doing. So, about 3 or 4 years ago, I started out acting. I was working with a coach via Zoom a lot. I was auditioning for a lot of things. And when you're starting out as an actor, you join all of these Facebook groups. So, you're submitting to a lot of student films, non union project, things like that. Sometimes there are really cool and legitimate projects posted in these groups, union projects, high paying projects. It's rare those types of high profile projects make it into those Facebook groups, but sometimes they do. Anyways, one day I was scouring one of these groups as I normally do, and I saw a posting for a zombie TV show. And I remember what they were looking for actually specifically in this post was a casting director. And for some reason that sparked my interest. So I emailed them and said I was interested in being a casting director. They got back to me and asked if I wanted to audition for a role. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Oh, and mind you, at this point, I do have an agent, an acting agent, and I have an acting coach as well. And I talk to both of these people regularly, daily. So, anyways, I think we scheduled a call for like that night, like the same night they got back to me. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like people like to move fast. So I get on a Zoom call, and it's these two guys who look like they're my age. One's smoking a cigarette, and he's got a bunch of tattoos. And the tattoos, whatever, I don't really care. He's smoking a cigarette, and his buddy beside him is crushing a Big Mac. And he's like talking to me like while he's like takes a bite. Oh, hey, nice to meet you, man. And I'm just sitting there like in my room like, oh, okay. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, this is the industry. This is the biz. When you get to a high level, and you're casting for, a network zombie TV show advertised as the next Walking Dead. This is what you do. You smoke cigarettes and you eat Big Macs on call. And I'm like, okay, cool. And they also didn't send me sides to audition. If you don't know, sides are just like, it's a part of the script that you read for an audition. I don't know why they call it sides. I always think slides. There was no sides given to me. They just wanted to improv. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I've watched all The Walking Dead. Like I've seen a bunch of other shows. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. So they paint me a picture of a scenario. Like I'm a lone survivor walking down a dirt road, and I come across these two bandit-looking guys, and we're just gonna like roll out the scene. So, anyways, we roll it off, and we do the scene, and like I do well for what it is. If I watched it back, maybe I would cringe really hard, and maybe everyone else would cringe, but like it was fine. I cracked a couple jokes, and I like to think I'm good on my toes. So they liked the jokes. They were like laughing, but yeah. Then we started getting into the details, and there's just so many red flags that I was ignoring. They were talking about how they wanted to start production in like a few weeks, and that they had connections at Amazon Prime and Netflix to get this show up there. But the episodes were only like 30 minutes. Like the script pages, like the script lengths were going to be 25 to 30 pages, which doesn't make any sense. Because in my mind, I'm like, oh, wait, I've watched The Walking Dead. Those are hour-long episodes. And you're structuring this like a sitcom, so... But, these are red flags I'm ignoring. I'm laughing now because of how ridiculous it all was and, like, how stupid I felt. But they were going all out, and it's so... Oh, they lied so much. And they were so convincing. It's crazy that people do this. So anyways, we do the audition, and they pretty much cast me on the spot. So they said season 1, you're making X amount. Like, it's low pay. But season 2 will get you up to, like, 25,000 an episode or something like that. And I'm like... I'm trying to be really cool, because in my mind, I'm talking to these two, like, high-level producers, executives. So I'm like, okay, cool, yeah. Like, playing it off like, this isn't my first rodeo. This is definitely my first rodeo, unfortunately. So, what happened next? They started, like, having a dialogue between themselves about, like, the networks they were going to. Like, oh, yeah, my connection at, like, Amazon Prime, if we don't get into Netflix, like, I got the guy at Prime, and it'll get on there, and, like, all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, this is it. This is, we're talking big. We're talking opportunities. Start talking about the contract and logistics. I mentioned that I have an agent, because I do have an agent, or I had an agent at the time. And the one guy was like really apprehensive about my agent. He's like, oh yeah, no, I hate working with people with agents. They just get in the way of everything. And I'm like, yeah, but he's cool. He should be easy to deal with, blah, blah, blah. So we get off the call, and he emails me the contract. And The Walking Dead was networked on AMC, right? Yeah. And what they had on their this is like a legit looking contract. And they had AMT on their contract, or it was AMC, but it was like mixed. Like the letters were mixed. It was an acronym that doesn't exist. Like I looked it up, it doesn't exist. But I looked at the contract and I was like, oh, this is cool. Mind you, this is also my first time looking at like an acting contract. I sent it to my agent right away. I think I'm about to hit like a bag. I think I'm about to make like, 100 grand. I think because we were getting paid something this first season. So I'm like, oh, this is crazy. So I sent it to my agent right away. I sent it to my acting coach, who like I have a really great relationship with. I tell my mom about it, and I tell like a few close friends. I'm like, this is it. Like, this is what. And like my favorite actor, Jon Bernthal, he got his like breakout start on The Walking Dead. Like that wasn't his first acting role, but that was his breakout start. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, this makes so much sense. My favorite actor started on a zombie show. I'm gonna start on a zombie show. Like this is literally the stars lining. I'm not sure how I feel about manifestation and spirituality. I'm still figuring that out right now. But then I was like, oh no, this is the way it's supposed to be. I'm telling everyone. I'm telling my mom, my friends, my family that like I've landed a role in this like really big show. I got the contract. It's legit. And then I start communicating back and forth with these people I was on the Zoom call with, and they're telling me they want to start production like the next week. And I'm like, okay. And they give me the location of where we're gonna start our first episode, our pilot episode. This story is actually so wild. I haven't thought about this in so long. So yeah, they want to start shooting the next week. So I'm like looking for hotels, and they're telling me they're gonna cover costs for an Airbnbs or hotels or something like that. So I put my credit card down on a hotel for like a week, because I think I'm going to this spot for a week. And then we get on a table read call. So it's all the actors who got cast. We get on a Zoom call and like we read the scene together. And I'm looking through the scene, and the stuff I improv'd in my original audition is in the scene. So they put that all in. So at this point, I'm just kind of flattered. I'm like, okay, cool. They like what I did. I'm talented. It is what it is. And there's other people on the call with me. Like we're reading the scene. I remember on that call too, they were fired up about getting a certain director of photography to work with us. Like in the audition, like they look to each other like, oh, yo, like so-and-so's fired up to, like he's excited to be a part of this project. So I'm like, okay, I'm talking to the cast, there's crew involved. They have like a talented DP apparently. I ended up finding his email through a chain, and because he was CC'd in something. And I got on a call with him. And he's excited too, but like there's a lot of like, they're messing us around a lot with like locations and times and stuff when they want to actually shoot stuff. And then there was this is one of the craziest things ever. So it's like 11 p.m. at night, and we're supposed to be shooting in like 2 days. We still don't have a location. There's a lot of fill in the blanks to be filled in. I get a link for this Zoom call, so I'm like, okay, I join it. This was supposed to be, I guess, all the cast, like more of the cast meeting each other. And I get on, and everyone's muted, but I see a bunch of like adult faces. There's like at least six to 10 like adult people. And I'm like, oh, this is sick. These are like the executives. These are the producers I'm meeting for the show, for the network, for like, they're associated with Netflix or Amazon, or like they're high level producers. The two goofballs start talking, the guys that auditioned me. And they go down the line and get everyone to introduce each other. So they're like, Mike, why don't we like start with you? Because I got a lead role. So I introduce myself. I tell them what role I'm playing, whatever. I come to realize that these people are not producers. They're not executives with any network. They are auditioning to be zombies on the TV show. Zombies. So I'm sitting there on the call, and one by one, these people unmute themselves, and they do their zombie audition. So they'll like set the phone up, and then they'll like walk back and do like their zombie walk and moan. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the Walking Dead zombie auditions. They put everyone in like a big gymnasium and get them to like walk, like 100 people at a time. They'll get them to like do their zombie audition, walk around, make the noises, like the whole thing. And then there's like a couple producers or casting directors at a table, and they're just like taking notes. Like, oh, number 10 looks pretty convincing, that sort of thing. No hate to that. I mean, that's a skill, but that's not what I thought I was going to be participating in on this call. I thought I was going to start to talk to producers and, get the real high level of the show. No, not at all. All these adults are moving around like freaking zombies. And I'm sitting there like flabbergasted. I'm like, no way. And these people are taking it so seriously too. Which it's okay. That's okay. This is not what I thought I was getting into. Like everyone does their intro, like, hey, my name's so-and-so, I'm based here. I've done, like, my acting resume kind of looks like this. And, here's my zombie. And then they'll set the phone up and they'll do the thing. And I'm like, we're supposed to be shooting in 2 days. I don't know. I don't have a place to stay yet. I don't know where we're shooting. I don't really know a lot of anything. And then the following day, I get on a call with my acting coach, and they pretty much say, like, I'm really sorry this happened to you, but I don't think this is legit. And I kind of knew at this point, with how much we were getting played around and how ridiculous things were. You know, I was asking a lot of questions, wasn't getting a lot of answers back. And like I said earlier, I sent the contract to my agent and the head of my agency as well, because, you know, I thought we were all going to get rich together. And they were pretty much like, yeah, this looks like a sham. They wouldn't be honest with me. They wouldn't tell me. I was asking questions. I was just getting like so thrown around. It was crazy. But they were still insistent that the thing was happening. The thing was happening. But the contract was like plagiarized. You can't come up with an acronym or like knock off AMC. They were calling it like Toronto Movie Studio or something ridiculous. It was something made up, which is like, wow. And I remember I was even like knowing all this and knowing that it was most likely not legit, and like the 2% chance that it was a legit thing, I was still apprehensive about backing out because I was like, but what if, you know, like what, okay, worst case scenario, I go to the first day of shooting and it's like a waste of time. Thankfully, I did back out. That was the right decision because months later, I searched for them on YouTube and I found their zombie show on YouTube, these like 15 to 22-minute episodes. And it's exactly that. It was like a YouTube video. It was like if I grabbed this camera right now and this lav mic and we just went out there and started like shooting. They were just making it was the farthest thing from like a Netflix production zombie show. I don't know if you've seen Black Summer. That's a sick show on Netflix. That's like my favorite zombie show. The Walking Dead, obviously classic. You know, most people fell off after season 6 when Glenn died. Whatever. That's cool. But yeah, no, this was not that. It was like a really bad YouTube series that I could have made on my own. Then I found the one guy on Instagram, like the one of the producers, the dude who was like smoking initially, and he had like 80,000 followers on Instagram, and I'm like, okay, those got to be bought. Like he had to have bought those followers. He switched from like a director and actor to what else did he do? He was like gambling management. He was like asking for people's money to like help them win bets, and then he got into OnlyFans, and then eventually their YouTube channel went away. Couldn't find anything. Couldn't find any of them on Instagram. But that whole experience was the catalyst for me deciding I was going to make my own projects and not put my career or creativity in the hands of someone else. Like that really bothered me. So then I started writing my own pilot script, a legit pilot script. And that's a story for another video. I guess this is like a welcome to the industry moment, you know? I went through it, so maybe you don't have to, or maybe you want to go through something like that. I understand the concept of fake it till you make it, but to just boldface lie to people is quite ridiculous. Like, for none of my projects have I or will I tell you that we are getting on Netflix unless I have the contact of the person on Netflix and they said, yeah, this will probably go on Netflix, which someday will happen, but I'm not going to just lie about that stuff. Appreciate you sticking around and listening to me ramble. I'll post more videos soon. Okay, bye.